to the kill zone.
I feel the silence chasing me. Shadows follow me everywhere I go. Danger's near, I can feel it.
Say my name, feel that flame. Welcome to the kill zone.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Wednesday night. Tonight, we give you the coverage of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs. Season 12 has finally emerged to the chase. 6 races to figure out who will have the most points out of the 16 drivers that became eligible. See who will become the Season 12 champion of the WSSR Cup Series. After 12 races, it was certainly a hot, heavy competition to see who was going to take the final spot, and that went to Jan van Leer. It looks to be all 16 drivers are registered in for tonight's race at New Hampshire. The flat, a little bit over a mile in distance track, is going to be the start of the chase. It's going to be a good one. We're excited to give you all the racing coverage again here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer, and joining me up in the booth is going to be Richard Wolsifer. And Richard, 12 races are in the books. We obviously have some of our favorites, but it's almost an equal slate as all drivers entering in. If you're the top driver, you got 16 points. Second got 2. Third only got 3 points behind, and it continues to dwindle down that way. it is certainly still a close battle where just one good race, you're in the chance to win the championship. One bad race, you've got a big hole to dig out of.
Yeah, the points have reset, and depending on where they finish in the points, they have a benefit, a little more points. So yeah, like the points chase right now is very, very close, with really only a 15 point difference from first to 16th place. So every driver now has a complete chance to make their way into the front of the point standings and chase for that championship this season. So it's going to be exciting to see. We'll have to see if Gavin Rogers, racing the #1, can defend his title from last season. Just have to see if this is where he finally steps up and he can find some speed underneath that car.
And right before we get into qualifying, we also want to say thank you to those watching in the chat. First and foremost, we want to say thank you to Rev, being one of our first super chats out there, donating $5 with "Here, you filthy animals." And here's the thing. This is a way for us to allow you, if you want to help us at the broadcast, Freaky Fast Broadcasting, you can give us super chats and many of other ways. We're planning on trying to evolve as a channel moving forward in 2026. Plenty of other fun goodies expected moving forward. But we want to say thank you to Rev for being our first super chat of the channel so far. As practice is over, it's time to head into qualifying, which, if you look at the history of New Hampshire and the WSSR Cup Series, this could be the most important factor of the race. 3 out of the 4 winners that have gotten the victory lane have also gotten the pole. We'll see if tonight could be another statistic added to that, or could someone try to change things up like the last time we ran here in Season 10, where Vincent Sora took the victory and did not even lead the most laps that day either. As all drivers will have 5 minutes to put down their fastest lap, but only 2 laps to do so. You hit the wall, you hit the, also go touch the grass at all, you will find your lap being invalidated. But everyone knows being up front is key, especially here at New Hampshire, where it's quite difficult to make passes. But everyone's now emerging as Chuck Sweeting, the fastest driver from practice, hopes to be the fastest after qualifying's over.
Yeah, Chuck Sweeting is really one of the faster guys here when it comes to quick laps. He just always finds himself further back in the field and struggles to get through the field. But with his patience, he always seems to get his way up there. So it would be nice to see him pull away with the win and try to get the pole. It'll put him in a great spot to start this race out. He'll be one of the first drivers to cross the line with a 30.192. So that's what everyone's got to chase, as Vincent Sora comes across with a 30.9.
It's going to be a little bit of a slower time on that first lap for drivers. The fastest lap during practice was a 29.437. A lot of the field was running around a 29.8 by the end of practice being over, as John Ford is going to be marching right into that zone on his first lap, as the continues to flicker on who will be the top dog. But currently it's still John Forbes in the 7 machine. Thomas Green, Lucky Duck Motorsports teammate, gonna be in second, as not coming up with the speed that was needed. Chuck Sweeting, a real underperformance from where his practice speed was to qualifying, as Forbes holds strong with a 29.807, and that was off of his first lap. So it looks to be first lap is the go lap, as Jake Nichols falls short after his second lap being finished.
Yeah, usually we see the second lap being the fastest lap for a lot of these guys, but that first lap for these guys here at New Hampshire is probably because it keeps those tires at an optimal temperature, not too hot, not too cold, the best type of grip you can have. So first laps tends to be the faster one, as we're seeing. Cedric Hunter getting ready to put his second lap down, currently at a 30.358. We'll have to see if he can get a little faster on his second and prove us wrong a little bit, but that number 13 machine, Hello Kitty, looking great tonight. He's across the line at a 29.9. That is a fantastic lap for Cedric Hunter, catapulting him up into the 7th position.
Into the top 10, a good spot to be. And here's going to be one of the drivers really to watch out for, Brian McCann. At the later stages of the original car that we started the season off, his 8 machine was really hitting his marks. But since we transferred over to the Legacy Gen 4 ARCA machine, this 8 has been on top of all speed charts, especially when it comes to race time. And he's hoping to be the fast driver here for qualifying. Also, other drivers going to be finishing up qualifying. Ben Keeney in the 98, he's hoping to pick up a little bit more pace. Also, Gavin Rogers is out there on his first lap, and Brian McCann's going to be on his first lap, and Douglas Newbigging also about to be starting his first lap as the 8 going extremely wide, trying to set up for the second lap as he's looking for that higher approach. That is all set up, and here we go. It's the money lap for the 8 machine, a 30.279, going to be his first lap for McCann. That's 13th best so far, but he's expecting a major pickup to try to compete for the top 5.
Yeah, doing his best, try to keep that car as stable as possible. You get too loose, you're going to scruff off too much speed, but if you get too tight, it means you're going too fast. So trying to find that balance coming through turns 3 and 4. And, I got to say, Brian McCann's probably got one of my most interesting cars I ever see on the track with. Instead of a number on the side, he's got the number spelled out as I think it's always interesting, as he goes to the top of the board with a 29.776, knocking John Forbes off the pole position.
And that is a monstrous lap as Douglas Newbigin now going to be on his final lap. First lap got invalidated for the 77. He's hoping to keep it off the wall and at least get a time down as Zach Hall, Tyler Dangler not going to be attempting a lap time. And across the line, second on the board for Douglas Newbigin, who took the pole here 2 seasons ago. And he'll come up 1 position shy here tonight. What a lap by the final 2 contenders that were waiting for the optimal time to hit their marks. Excellent job for themselves as qualifying comes to a conclusion. Brian McCann going to be the top of the board for himself, and a great pole time, which will be his 4th of the season for the 8 machine. Only other driver that is more is Jake Nichols with 6, as that will finish up qualifying. Practice is over, and we're about to be entering into warm-up period, which will give us time to take a deeper look of how the season's been and who are the drivers to watch out for here in the chase. We also want to say thank you for another super chat from Tyler Wren. That's Tyler Dangler out there in chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. That is our 2nd one of the night already. So you guys are having fun with the super chats. Again, it is a way that you can, if you'd like, to kind of donate and support us as the broadcast team just a little bit more, as well as gives us a chance to look in chat and say, hey, we see you out there just a little bit quicker. As the field is getting ready for warm-ups, we will take a look at how the standings are looking so far here tonight. As again, 16 drivers fought for 12 races to have a chance to fight for the championship. And here are going to be the 16 drivers that are inside of the cut line. Jake Nichols, top of the board, no surprise with his 6 wins. But Richard, you look at the rest of the field, there are a lot of quick drivers that we expected to be in here, but I think it's the positioning in the standings. It's a little bit odd for a few drivers, I think, especially last season's champion of Gavin Rogers.
Yeah, it's got a lot of fast drivers that, obviously had made their way into this playoff chase standings here, the top 16. Jan Van Leer was able to squeak out and secure that final spot, so fantastic job for him. But yeah, like drivers like Gavin Rogers back in the 10th position, we're usually, seeing him up in the top 5, but this new car swap has really kind of thrown him for a loop. He just hasn't been able, even switching over to the legacy gen for the accidental car, he just still hasn't been able to find the speed that he had in the next gen. But we got the favorites of, John Forbes, Jake Nichols leading the points right now. We'll have to see how that can change as we get to these final couple of races this season.
I think the big thing of change, though, has to be Vincent Sora. He was 2nd in points, decided to opt out of last week's race at Talladega, and gave up a chance to stay in 2nd. I'm curious if those small little points that he gave up for not being there last week could hinder the 15 coming into this chase. But let's take a look at the chase as a whole, at the schedule of the season, as we've seen plenty of great racing, 12 races in the books, but the final 6 are the most important. We have tonight at New Hampshire, Auto Club, Texas, then we're going to be heading to Charlotte, New Hampshire, going to be North Wilkesboro, and then Homestead. Excellent schedule that we have in front of us. I think a lot of drivers are excited to be back to the more traditional racetracks for the final 6.
Yeah, it's a fantastic, final 6 races for the season. It's going to test every which way that these drivers are going to have to race, from your typical intermediate style tracks to your short tracks, to even the larger track like Auto Club, but not to the extent of like a super speedway like Daytona. So it's a great mix of cars, or a great mix of tracks for these drivers to kind of challenge, and best to try and beat the rest of their competition to take home that end of the year trophy.
As Talladega did not get updated, but last week we got to see Brian McCann with the pole, but John Forbes taking the victory. We'll see who can take the victory here tonight as Brian McCann takes the pole once again for himself, and he's actually on a 3-race streak of getting poles counting tonight, so he continues on his fast time setting pace. Well, let's move on over to our pick'ems. Who are drivers that we feel like are those to watch out for, because there's always a chance of a driver surprising us. I think we've got our favorites that we always have, Jake Nichols, Vincent Sora, but here's going to be a few other drivers to watch out for. We made these picks before qualifying. In my pick, I went with the number 8 of Brian McCann. The Cody Glencock's Music Racing team as a whole has been very quick and consistent, but this 8 has been hitting a new level the last about 4 to 5 races, and he's my driver to watch out for. And he continues on complimenting my pick by taking the pole here tonight. But who do you have, Richard, on your side?
You know, I'm going to have to go to the outside of the pole of Douglas Newbigging. This is the one track that I was excited to watch him race at, watching how he drove a lot of the other tracks prior. I mean, we're going to see the 77 machine more than likely take the apron a lot more than we've seen in a lot of the other tracks, and it can be extremely beneficial here at New Hampshire. As long as he can keep himself out of trouble and keep the self-sabotage moments to a minimum, I think Douglas can really top the board here and take home the win.
That's going to be the big thing. Can he stop himself from doing that? Then our third member of our crew running production in the background, we've got Robert Moyer Jr., and his pick is the 7 of John Forbes Jr. I love this pick. Certainly going to be a driver that we're expecting since his playoff time. How can he evolve to another level? Let's find out as the season 10 champion hopes to retake the crown for himself. As warm-up is done, qualifying is over as well. We've got ourselves racing action, 150 laps here tonight. No stage break, no fast repairs, but each driver will have 4 extra sets of tires in pit road to work with, as we take a look at our Lucky Duck Motorsports starting grid. If you want to find ways to be connected with a great racing team, head on over to Lucky Duck Motorsports today on all their socials. Such a great team. They also love being a part of so many great charities on top of that. But the main thing that they love to be a part of is helping you, the iRacers, get rewarded for some great racing if you're part of the team. Head on over and check out Lucky Duck Motorsports on Instagram, on Twitter, and as well all the major ways on iRacing. But top of the board for the 4th time this season, it's the 8 of Brian McCann, starting out the chase at a great footing. To his outside, the 77 of Douglas Newbigging. He needs a solid day to try to emerge as a driver to be a threat for the championship as he starts deep in the point standings. Third, going to be the 7 of John Forbes Jr. And then we've got some of the favorites. That's Jake Nichols, the rookie sensation with the most wins so far, starting in 4th. The offseason coming into season 12, the favorite was actually Jared Talmadge, as he'll start in 5th. Ali Fonseca, we'll see what the 24 has on speed, as he's as well a part of the chase, starting in 6th place, a good position for the 24. Vincent Sora, tons of confidence. I talked to him before this race. He said he had 11 out of 10 confidence in every race that he drives in, but he feels like this chase, watch out for him. In 8th, it's the 31 of Thomas Green. The 9th, it's the 13 of Cedric Hunter, and finishing out our top 10, it's the 17 of Chris Stitz.
Behind row 5 in the 11th position, we'll start off with Brian Noel on the inside of the 00 car, with Ryan Kelly in the number 3 starting just to his outside. Chuck Sweeting starting back in 13th position, with Gavin Rogers, last season's defending champion, starting out in 14th position. Back in the 8th row will be Larry Yingling and Jan Van Leer starting in 15th and 16th. Ben Keeney and Zach Hall roll off 17th and 18th, and rounding out the field, returning for another race this season, Tyler Dingler in the 19 machine, starting in 19th.
Hey, Tyler also doing that super chat, so we're excited to see how Tyler does here this evening. You never know what you're going to see from returning drivers as up front. Excited to see how we start the chase off. It's kind of the reset button for a lot of drivers. You reset your mentality, you reset on points, And ultimately, it's going to be a tough evening at a tough track here at New Hampshire, a track that is very flat. The banking, it's progressive, very slightly though, from 2 degrees of banking at the very bottom, and then at the very top, up to 7 degrees of banking. On the straightaways, just 1 degree, slightly over 1 mile in distance. But Richard, it honestly is watch out for the entry of these corners. Those braking points going to be so key here tonight.
Yeah, braking zones is definitely going to be a major key point for these drivers to keep track of, because at a flat track with high speeds like this, that car can easily break loose, and you're going to have to pay attention to everybody's braking zone to keep out of each other.
We're excited for the start of the chase. 6 races. Who will have the most points to settle it out for Season 12 of the WSSR Cup Series presented by Elwood Designs? Green flag is out. Brian McCann, Douglas Newbigging, roar down into turn number 1. A couple of drivers going to be going with an early slow down, trying to set up the apex of the corner, but it's Douglas Newbigging on the outside, muscling his way forward and snuffing out a great start for the 8, but behind it's the 00, Brian Noel. First caution is out, and luckily no one involved.
And that's exactly what these drivers are going to have to worry about, the extreme loose condition coming out of these turns. The straighter you can get coming out of the turns, the better you'll have, but the 00 losing the rear end of the tires and just getting sideways, bringing out the first caution onto the opening lap.
First caution, and cautions have been an issue here as John Forbes have a little bit of grass fun for himself. I believe that was some other issues that were going on, as here's the actual caution for the 00 of Brian Noel. Just a little snappy loose off the exit of the corner of turn 2, as we'll take another look at it. But in the past, there is anywhere ranging from 9 cautions a race to 17 cautions a race, just showing how tough this course is, even for the WSSR that's notoriously known for a low caution count at almost every race we go to. New Hampshire, one of the rougher ones. You can see the transition from the banking to the straightaway, just unsettles the 00, and luckily doesn't hit the wall, doesn't hit anyone else, and he could just drive on his way, just brushing off that dust a little bit.
Yeah, that was great work by everybody also that was following behind him. They were able to dodge him, not get into him, and gave him enough room to get that car, keep the cars clean. So great work by everybody. Brian Noel keeping it out of the traffic, also kind of kept it near the bottom, slightly middle of the track, just to make sure everybody had an exact place to go, kind of made it predictable. But that's exactly what these guys are going to have to worry about. Cold tires and on a flat track, that's exactly what we're going to kind of expect.
And you got to be a little bit nervous now because we had that caution so early, and just, coming out of 2, the tires are still going to be slightly cold. It might be even colder than when we started this race. A couple of drivers take an opportunity to hit pit road, but we'll touch on that after we take a look at the weather, because the weather conditions pretty nice here today. We've got a 76 degree Fahrenheit ambient temperature, then the track temp at a 98 Fahrenheit. Wind, well, we're pretty quick brisk at 9 and now climbing up to 10 miles per hour, heading towards the east, middle of the day. So those temps could rise slightly before we get to the end of the race, where it should fall off and maybe get a little bit closer to the lower 90s for track temp. But obviously the wind's going to be a factor, the track temp's a factor, and obviously now with those colder tires, how will this next restart handle for some of those drivers in the back?
Yeah, these drivers are going to have to adjust to the changing conditions of this race, and every race, honestly, because the track either gets hotter or gets colder, and the car completely shifts how it handles on the different temperatures of the track. And the wind, it also affects how these cars can handle, believe it or not. I mean, it can make the car loose, it can push the car tight, or it can even make you go a little slower down the straightaways. So it's all these things that tie into how these drivers have to manage the race.
Well, just like that, a quick restart is upon us as the initial start wasn't as clean as maybe some drivers would hope for. Let's hope that this go-round's a little bit better. Pace car into pit road. Green flag is out, and race 1 of 6 in the chase is back underway as Douglas Newbigging, a fantastic launch for himself, with Brian McCann going to be in second place. Jake Nichols going to be challenging for that second position as well on the inside, as it's a hard battle side by side for second, as drivers further on the back, a much cleaner exit out of 2.
Much cleaner exit, everybody able to get through pretty solid, and exactly what I called out. Douglas Newbigging is instantly straight down to the apron, but we got Jake Nichols, a great run. They're going to go 3 wide down the front stretch for the lead as they cross the line. Let's see who gives it up going into turn 1. They're still 3 wide.
Still 3 wide, but muscling his way through the center is going to be Jake Nichols. He saw his opportunity to throttle his way up, and a fantastic center off for the 73. He'll keep a nose ahead as Brian McCann's still going to be to the outside quarter panel, and already a lot of raceability being shown here, but that middle groove looks to be the strongest as Nichols once again back to the lead where he wants to be here tonight. A great launch for himself as we're 3 wide back for 4th place, and it's Douglas Newbigging, John Forbes utilizing the apron, but early on showing signs maybe that's not the call if you want to stay ahead.
It's definitely not the fastest way around the track at this current moment, as we see, as they are just getting drove around pretty easily. Don't know what that's going to do with their tire wear, though, if that's going to help them or make it worse later in the run. But Douglas Newbigging is still sticking to the gun, and there he goes, gets a little loose out of 4, but he quickly saves it, and he's going to fall back in line behind Vincent Sora, but that was almost a scary moment for Douglas.
As they're attempting to make these moves, but it is so tough to see exactly where the comfort zone is lining up overall, as we're seeing various different attempts. Some are still attempting the apron, while others are staying on that middle. Well, fully, it's tough to see right now. It just looks like Jake Nichols, Brian McCann, Holly Fonseca, they are really moving well right now, making sure they're staying away from the apron.
Yeah, they're doing everything they can to stay away from the apron. Douglas Newbigging, I think he's going to have to make some kind of change to figure out what's going on, maybe find some speed again, but he's really sticking to his guns on that apron at the moment. So he's trying to challenge Vincent Sora. He has the speed going into the turn, but it's the exit. They've got way more of a exit than he has, so he's got to make that pass in the middle of the turn to make it work.
And trouble already hitting one of our chase contenders, Thomas Green. He has dropped out of the server. At least he's been blinked out. He has not gotten back on the racing surface just yet. We're waiting to see if he officially gets packet loss disconnected from the server. Right now, the 31, 1 lap down. That is a heartbreaking start to the chase for a driver who was expected to be at least a top 5 contender, if not top 10, here tonight as he blinks back in. Oh, that was a nerve-wracking feeling for most of the field because he just popped in out of nowhere after being gone for a full lap.
Yeah, Thomas Green was gone for a complete lap, like off the track, not visible to anybody. And the downside is I'm curious if he realizes he's a lap down. So now he's got to hope for a caution to get that lap back because this is an iRacing situation here, really on his end because of a network connection. But yeah, he was dropped out technically from the race, not necessarily from the server, but iRacing was not clocking his lap, so he did not clock that 1 lap that he was gone.
Which, with a lot of the iRacing updates that have been coming out, they have been kind of being a lot more harsher if you're having network issues of just bouncing people out, and you will lose a lap, if not be parked in pit road, if iRacing deems that your internet is not stable enough. So this 31 better be careful, as a hard charging diving move by the 77 of Douglas Newbigging was hoping to find an advantage as he continues to just hope that the apron lane works at some point. But I just feel like, especially here after 13 laps, you would expect, okay, it hasn't worked out, I've lost too much space and time, yeah, just figure out a different lane, try something else. But the 77 is being relentless right now on attempting this run.
I mean, his times haven't really dropped off from the rest of the field also. He's still, if not even running faster than some of these guys as well. So who knows, maybe this apron, this apron line he's been running is saving his tires a little more than everybody, giving him a more stable car. But I mean, he's just not able to make the pass completely on Vincent Sora, but he's trying everything he can, throwing everything but the kitchen sink at him, trying to get around him.
Well, you just saw there, the pink 31 machine disappeared once again, and that is right in between Vincent Sora and Jared Talmadge. There is a vehicle that could spawn out of nowhere in front of them, as he's already been gone for a full lap. Thomas Green better hope that he doesn't lose another lap on top of the one that he already lost for being disconnected. As they cross the line, he will officially go another lap down for Thomas Green. This disconnection is hurting the 31 so badly, and it is a lose-lose scenario because if he just leaves, he's making sure he's getting zero. He's going to get last place points. If he stays, there's not a chance that iRacing could fix this issue because his internet is just blinking him out.
And there he goes. He is officially dropped due to packet loss. So that's even more detrimental to his run tonight because that's going to kick him back into the pit lane when he decides to connect back into the server. But I mean, when you're a driver in the chase, when you're fighting for points in a championship, you can't just give up. You got to get back out there. So I'm sure he'll get back in, log with some more laps, and hope that some drivers either call it an early night or get involved into a heavy wreck that ends their night early. So he's got to get back out there on track. He has no choice.
And 2 drivers next to one another entering tonight in points. 10th place and 11th place in points. 2 dramatically different stories here in the first 16 laps. Ali Fonseca entered tonight 11th in points. He had 1 top 5, 3 top 10s entering the chase. And right now, running 3rd. This is a fantastic start to his New Hampshire run currently for Ali Fonseca. But then the other driver who's 10th in points currently, Gavin Rogers, running 18th, last runner of all drivers that are on track currently. He's trying to run that similar lane as Douglas Newbegin, but it is just doing the complete opposite compared to Newbegin, who's kind of figured out how to stall out, and he's kind of running where he's at currently. Gavin Rogers is just losing time at this moment.
Yeah, Gavin is just not comfortable in this car. He is just not running very strong laps at the time being. Sitting, relatively last place, basically, with the fact that Thomas Green is technically last due to being disconnected. But Thomas Green has reconnected to the server, so we expect to see him back out on track here in the next lap or 2. But Gavin, he is definitely trying to figure out what he can do different to get some speed underneath this car of his.
And what's going to be hard for this one machine coming into tonight's race, the fact that there is no stage racing, there is no absolute caution that we know will come out this race. If everyone continues to race pointing with their nose straight and on track, we will have a chance to go green for the rest of this run, which would be huge for some of these drivers that maybe need a caution to kind of settle back in, put on a new set of tires, and see what they can find pace-wise, as Zach Hall, Jan Van Leer battling between one another. This is for 14th position. For the 10 machine, there was a little bit of a worry that he was actually going to miss out on tonight's race, as he had some personal issues that kind of popped up. Luckily, he was able to find the time to get into the racing seat, and it's actually running pretty well for a lack of real practice that the 10 has had here this evening. And Zach Hall runs in 15th and is just trying to survive the evening, which I feel like is kind of the motto for a lot of drivers here tonight when you come to New Hampshire, as up front, top 5, they're getting very racy right now.
Yeah, Douglas Newbegin has finally found some speed with the line he's been running and doing a very good job. Is able to get around Vincent Sora, and he's making the effort to get around the 27 of Jared Talmadge. He is sticking to his guns with this apron line and doing a great job as he finally clears the 27. Now his eyes are set on the number 7 machine, his teammate of John Forbes Jr.
And Thomas Green, kind of in a little bit of anger, you could say, just slamming down the fastest lap of the day. Sadly, 6 laps down is the 31. As again, he got reconnected back in, but internet issues forced him to be 2 laps down, then ultimately kicked him out of the server. We'll see if the 31 can get any of these laps back. If we get a lot of cautions, though, that kind of balloon out later on in this race, or even in the middle of this race, we could get a couple of those laps back, but he's got to hope for a lot of cautions to come out, and hope that when drivers get involved with wrecks, they either don't go a lap down or they're completely terminal damage that allows the 31 to get his lap back. As we continue to race on, top 2 in their own zip code currently, Jake Nichols, Brian McCann. They continue to motor their way forward, but Douglas Newbegin, this lane and line that he is running is putting him in a very good spot pace-wise, as he is currently the fastest driver on track.
Yeah, fastest driver on track. Douglas Newbegin doing a fantastic job. He has made 3 passes over the past couple of laps, and he is still moving forward. Now he's looking at Ali Fonseca's rear bumper and trying to make the move on him. This apron line has really benefited the 77 machine in these early laps of this race.
Yeah, man, making us at least making myself eat my own words on was this lane and line going to work? Because it just wasn't in the first 10 laps of this race, but it really is turned around in the last 15. What a charge by the 77 is Ali Fonseca, trying to defend for his position, getting a little bit loose up next to the corner, which that was a factor to watch out for. How loose will these vehicles get as this run progresses? The fuel number we were given was around 65 laps they can go on fuel, which is going to turn this race into a 2-stop. See who's feeling the comfortability of trying to push their tires even further than they are right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if this race could turn into a fuel mileage race. I don't foresee that happening because, I mean, 10 laps is a lot of laps to try and save overall. But, I mean, actually it'd be 20 laps if you go 65 and 65. So it'll more than likely be a two-stop race for these drivers. But, you know, you never know. You might have one driver try to make it last all the way for one. But I think the biggest question really is going to be tires and how long those can stay happy with you, basically, for the longest amount of time.
And you gotta love close racing action between drivers that have raced around one another for years. It is been a long time watching Jared Talmadge as well as John Forbes, Vincent Sora, 7, 15, and 27. They were putting on a show right there, going back and forth. Here's another show just outside of the top 10. As we've got Larry Yingling, Cedric Hunter, as well as Brian Noel. The driver brought out our first caution of the day, the 00, trying to rebound his way forward as he's got the sights category 5 in front of him. Behind him is Zach Hall, now working the outside groove.
Yeah, it's a great battle between these guys. Brian Noel able to kind of recover after that incident, able to get around a few of the drivers, but trying to make it work, getting around Zach Hall, just unable to, kind of stalled when he was trying to get around Cedric Hunter, it seemed, and just not able to make that inside line work like we've been seeing, you know, up front. But still not giving up. But Cedric Hunter, Zach Hall, they're doing their best to move forward as well, trying to get as many points as they can possibly get.
Certainly trying their best as every driver putting out some pretty good lap times currently. As watching the battle on screen, this is Zach Hall in the 32, Cedric Hunter in the 13. Teammates from Category 5 Esports riding around. See if this position will be given away, or will they find it? There it is. Cedric Hunter backing off, giving the space for the 32, letting him try to challenge to get by Larry Yingling, who Yingling talked to the 67. There was a little bit of confidence of, hey, I've won here before, but there wasn't confidence in the pace as he was seen during practice. So we'll see how, maybe if this race does turn into a fuel mileage run, maybe the 67 has a little bit of magic that it can pull away so far here tonight, which, as we were watching the battling here just outside of the top 10, the battle for second is done and dusted. Douglas Newbegin has now moved up into second position. He's a second and a half back, but I'm looking at the lap times. We'll have to wait on this go around for the 77 because the last lap Nichols was faster by about 2/10. That was wild. No, Newbegin was battling for position. We'll see on this go around who was the faster driver, and it's Douglas Newbegin by 1/10 over our current leader.
Impressive work from Douglas. I mean, we've always known he's had speed. It's always staying out of trouble that we've always been hoping for him. And so far, we're still early, but Douglas is really showing what he is capable of doing. And this is just one of those tracks that seems to kind of play into his skill set a lot. You know, like I mentioned at the beginning of the race, like using the apron, we've seen him use it at a lot of different tracks. And this is a track that it extremely helps. It's extremely beneficial to the driver, as he was 2/10 faster than Jake Nichols that lap as well. So he is chasing down the giant of Jake Nichols, who is currently in the lead, just over 1 second ahead of Douglas Newbegin.
Well, we got to fall back to the battling happening for fourth place. Ali Fonseca, who was solidified in third after being passed by Douglas Newbegin, is now floundering on speed and grip. The 24 under heavy pressure by a big pack of drivers. You got Vincent Sora, John Forbes, Jared Talmadge, and as well the 17 of Chris Stitz now emerging into this grouping. And this is going to be one of those packs where we've already seen three of the three of the five going back and forth of Sora, Forbes, and Talmadge. How does the additive factors of Ali Fonseca and Chris Stitz maybe throw a wrench into things with everyone throwing the haymakers back and forth? 33 laps into this race. And the 24 is just trying to run a defensive line a little bit higher than the middle groove, which is giving him the better exit currently. Vincent Sora, that's the exact lane that he's been running for most of this run. And now having to change things up, but Jared Talmadge squeezing to the inside Able to really make that pass. And Richard, this is that close racing action that you're always worried about, especially when you're racing around your teammates as close as the 27-7 are.
Yeah, when you're racing around your teammates, you got to drive really even more careful than if you were driving around the other competitors, because it's never a good look when you take out your own teammates. Guys you're supposed to be working together with. A little loose again for Jarrett Talmadge. These guys are racing door to door, extremely close, inches apart from each other down these straightaways. And it's just impressive to see these guys can keep off each other and keep the cars from wrecking. But Jarrett Talmadge is doing everything he can to try to get around Sora, and Sora has got to have some frustration towards Ollie as he wants to get around him and get moving.
I mean, these head-on shots are incredible into the corner because you're just seeing the wheelmanship. You're seeing the hands. They are so twitchy off the exit of the corner, just trying to counter steer. Hope that you don't slide and get too loose. You're also trying not to run into your competitors, and this is some great A racing action going on. Jarrett Talmadge hoping for the 2-for-1 special if he can get it done, but Vincent Sora keeping it close. Ali Fonseca with the better run on the outside, though.
Great run from Ali Fonseca, staying in front of those two, but Jarrett Talmadge is finally just past the nose of Vincent Sora, not completely clear as he moves up. As they're 3 wide, they've got to be careful keeping the cars off each other, but who's going to have the better exit? Ali Fonseca, Vincent Sora, drag race down the front stretch. Jarrett Talmadge has got to fall in behind those two and try the attack again as Ollie moves up the track, allowing the pass to be done almost by Vincent Sora.
I mean, 1 and 2, it seems like they're really able to utilize every way that they want. Almost some contact going on between the 15 and 24 down in turn 3. This is where they've really been the closest. It just seems like everyone squeezes into one another through the apex of the corner, but Sora drifting his way out the exit of the corner, and they're still drag racing down the straightaway. It just continues to put on a show here for the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th. As watching from behind, John Forbes, Chris Ditz, and now add Ryan Kelly into the mix of drivers enjoying the show ahead of them. But now, with how close, how much these drivers are just drifting around the corners, you got a sense there's going to be a breaking point. You either let that driver go and you both just survive the fight in the round, or you find yourself wrecking each other and maybe a few more, because you got to make the choice now. Do you wreck here in the first 40 laps of this race, or do you survive to fight another day?
Yeah, it's very close between these two. They keep getting into each other's doors. Vincent Sora is trying to close that door on him, but he just can't get the run. Ollie on the outside there has a better run off the turns. Even though Vincent Sora is able to get in front of him through the turn, he just can't get up in time to block it off. And Ali Fonseca gets the run. But these two doing a great job. They're getting a little argy-bargy with each other, but they're keeping the car straight and forward like you see. I think this is where Vincent Sora could potentially get it done. He had a great run going into turn 1.
But the problem is, every single time Sora feels like he's almost clear, Jarrett Talmadge throws a nose in there, and it kind of just spooks him just a little bit. Finally, the best distance that Vincent Sora's had so far. They're going to be almost dead equal down into turn number 3, utilizing a little bit of bumper and side-by-side rubbing through the corner. Vincent Sora's hoping for a good run, but you got to hope that Ali Fonseca doesn't counter steer into you, and they'll still drag race forward. 41 laps in, and we're getting probably one of the best shows you could ask for right now, as some drivers further on back, troubles arising, as this has been a fantastic show. I'm going to let you keep commentating about this, Richard, as I'm going to take a look and see what happened to the 0-0, because Brian Noel has left the server. I got to figure out why.
That's unfortunate, but these 3 drivers still putting on a fantastic show for the racing. Again, door to door between Ollie and Vincent Sora. These two just not giving up. Ollie is not giving up this position, but Vincent Sora knows he has to get around the 24 machine so he can start moving his way forward to catch 3rd, 4th, or 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. But Ollie is just not letting them get around him. He's doing a fantastic job running a great defensive line. It's not the fastest, but it's just the drivers cannot get the run like Ollie has down the straightaway, and Ollie's able to defend it, just keeping Vincent Sora at bay. Jarrett Talmadge looking for the opportunity to try to get around him, and just there's no window that's opening for him.
There really isn't. They just continue to fight and throw haymaker after haymaker, and it is just working out for Ali Fonseca to keep the battling position. This is the most frustrating thing for Vincent Sora, because he just wants to get by and try to run down Brian McCann potentially, because at the rate when they caught up to Ollie, it looked like the 15, the 27, and the 7 were going to just motor their way into 3rd, 4th, and 5th easily, but Ollie has been an absolute blocker, just holding position and defending perfectly. Also got a little bit of a report on the 00 of Brian Noel. He found himself getting loose off the exit of turn 4 6 laps ago, overcorrected, got into the outside wall, nosed it into the inside wall, and ultimately too much damage to continue. He pulled into pit road and has called it an evening, leaving us with 18 drivers out on track, 17 on the lead lap, and Vincent Sora finally can breathe. He's free from getting by Ollie Fonseca.
Oh, that has got to be a breath of fresh air, literally and figuratively, as he's got nobody in front of him getting clean air. But he is finally around the 24 machine. But I think right now he's got to take it a little bit easier. Not too easy, because the 27 is still breathing down his neck as well. But he used up a lot of those tires, and he has got to try and get those cooled down. But we jump to the lead. Douglas Newbigging has chased down Jake Nichols and is less than 1/10 of a second from him. He's going to make a challenge into turn 1.
First challenge for the lead here tonight on Jake Nichols, and it's Douglas Newbigging, who I was almost concerned about how he was running the racetrack in the first 10 laps. He gave up so much time, went from being in 2nd place to faltering all the way back to 8th, and now here on lap 46, he fights his way and easily takes the lead over Jake Nichols. Douglas Newbigging, the 77, leading here from New Hampshire, and what a charge from the 77, because the pit stops aren't for another at least 20 more laps. And if he can continue at this pace, I mean, he will be gone by over probably 2 to 3 seconds before pit stops happen.
If he can keep up the pace. And of course, we don't know if Jake Nichols was saving anything for this, this certain situation, because we see Jake, he's always up front and running his race. But, it's sometimes it's at the detriment of his tires. Sometimes he's actually just saving just that much faster. But right now, Douglas Newbigging still putting a little bit faster laps than Jake Nichols. He is showing that this is his track and his race to lose, but he's doing a fantastic job putting on a clinic on how to use that apron in these cars at this track.
But again, the always worry. Douglas Newbigging, you prove that you're quick, but please don't throw this race away after showing all of your cards, as the 77 continues to try to lead here tonight over Jake Nichols. And what a swing this could be for the 77. Enter tonight 15th in points, only 1 top 5, 4 top 10s this season, and a win would change his chase run completely from just hope for a top 5, maybe a top 10 battle, to, hey, watch out, that could be a threat here tonight, as Jake Nichols continues to watch the 77 and all his moves. Update on the battling that was happening from 4th on back, where Ollie Fonseca was kind of being the safety valve. Well, ever since Vincent Sora got by him, the 24 has been passed quite efficiently, as he has now fallen back to 8th place, about to fall to 9th, as Chris Stitz in the 17 is trying to find an opening to get by. But Richard, in a blink of an eye, it goes from utter chaos of will we see a wreck here just battling for 4th to now everyone's pretty spread out and in line with one another.
Everyone's pretty spread out and in line with each other, but I was just about to talk about this guy on our screen, Gavin Rogers. He was playing the long game. He is now up into the top 10, and he is one of the faster cars on the track as well, running in the 31.6s, 31.5s. Gavin Rogers has found something in this late run. We'll see if this can hopefully build for himself for the later parts of this run as well after pit stops, but Gavin finally finding his stride.
Hey, 15 laps to go in this run. You're running about a 10th or 2 faster than your competition ahead. You might find yourself near that top 10, as Zach Hall and Gavin Rogers, currently this is 10th and 11th, as the one tries to motor his way forward and try to run down Chris Stitz, who is currently occupied with Ollie Fonseca, which that is also going to help Gavin Rogers a lot. If you got a driver that's kind of blocking and defending and using up their tires to do all this motion, it gives you a chance to close in and utilize your tires quite efficiently once you get up to those that have already burned off all of their stuff. As Vincent Sora, this has got to be frustrating to know. You were leading this group, you got by Ollie Fonseca, but immediately you get passed by Jarrett Talmadge, and now you've got Ryan Kelly right behind you. This 3 has been looking very quick. He's actually been one of the fastest, if not inside of the top 3 fastest drivers for the past 10 laps, and now the 3 looking for a chance to climb into the top 5.
Yeah, Ryan Kelly, we have known him though for being a long run driver. The longer the race goes on tires, the better he usually is. He's very great at tire saving. So it's really showing how well he could do it by passing John Forbes. Now he's up by Vincent Sora trying to challenge him. And I will say Vincent Sora though, he did have to use a lot of his tire resource when he was fighting Ollie Fonseca. I mean, they were side by side for a lot of laps as John Forbes hits the pits.
Ollie Fonseca going to be following in suit as well. Drivers ahead of them that went into pit road. Jan Van Leer pitted a lap prior, as well as Chuck Sweeting. So some drivers noting, hey, if we're going to be having to pit at least 2 times here tonight, why not do it a little bit after lap 15, maybe a little bit after lap 100, and try to maximize our tires as pit stops quickly in and out, hoping for a good run. And Brian McCann, love this call. Same for everyone else, because we've seen those that go with the undercut pit stop, they get the shorter pit stop overall, and they really get a good run and take over a lot of track time later in this run, as Vincent Sora, the next driver to hit pit road.
Yeah, as drivers, I mean, there's no reason to run out there on old tires if you don't have to, especially if you know you're going to have to pit again after, for a second time. Might as well come in, save the tire wear a little bit. And that's what a lot of these drivers might be thinking, especially with the fuel. But, I mean, Douglas Newbigging and Jake Nichols, they are staying out there. The top 6, really, still not yet to come down pit road. It does look like Ryan Kelly has hit pit road right now, though. So the top 5, only some of the drivers that haven't hit pit road yet. We'll have to see when they decide they want to come in.
Yeah, and Ryan Kelly, a very aggressive pit stop. He actually drifted his way into pit entry. Luckily, no black flag was given to the 3 machine as he heads into his box to get service done. Top 2 yet to show any signs, though, of heading to pit road, as Jared Talmadge, Chris Stitz, Gavin Rogers going to be your top 5 currently, as Rogers trying to find a way to get by the 17. And this is that awkward spot of, if you're faster on the long run, but you're seeing your competition go with the undercut pit stop, are you willing to give up all this time, even though it feels like I'm maximizing my tires at this current moment?
Yeah, it's a really tough decision, especially with Gavin, because of how slow he started the race. It's a really tough decision for him, really. I mean, all the other drivers, still a tough decision for them, because, yeah, they're going to bleed a lot of green flag time right now with these guys that are on fresh tires that are able to run faster. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to be able to last, 4, 5, 6 extra laps than they are on the tires. So, I mean, in the long run, it helps. It's just a matter of, working your way through the field again. If you can do it, efficiently, it'll save the tires a little bit more and for longer.
Super Seth, a little bit of a wibble wobble as he exits out of turn 2, but Gavin Rogers, that apron run, very similar to Douglas Newbigging, is just working out for the one where it just feels like he really accelerates well right when he hits the apron. That's when he throttles up. And the one trying to poise a threat on the 17, as most of the field has already made their pit stops. Douglas Newbigging now into pit road for the 77, but he overshoots. He has to back up, and that's way too much time that you just cannot afford to throw away here on this long green flag run we've had so far, as Jake Nichols continues to stay out for another lap, which honestly, with Douglas Newbigging sliding through his box, it allows the 73 to go an extra lap or 2.
That is a 2-second difference from not missing your box to having to back up. 2 seconds that Douglas Newbigging had to bleed backing up into his box. So, I mean, that's what we usually talk about, but this time it was on pit road. It's not on the track. It wasn't a track issue. He's got no damage. He can easily make those 2 seconds up, but he's got to do better at not making another mistake as Jake Nichols now hits pit road.
Very aggressive pit entry for the 73, maximizing his entry. And for Nichols, this has been kind of crazy to say. His weakest part of his race has been pit road. That's where he's really lost a lot of time compared to his competition. And we'll see if these pit times when he came into pit road was going to be good. As look at this chaos on screen. As Gavin Rogers, Chris Stitz, old tires, trying to watch out as the new tires are trying to find a way to get by these 2 that are fighting for position. Second and third, they've got a wall of drivers with fresh rubber trying to sneak their way through, and they'll go 4 wide trying to make the pass as Zach Hall, Sweeting, and many more try to make their pass going forward. And I love the call from Rogers says, you know what, let's just head to pit road.
Yeah, that was a right call for Rogers. The downside is it made a little bit of chaos behind him because everyone's using that apron for driving. Yeah, I mean, he could have caused it, or not him causing the issue, but could have been an incident. But all the drivers, great heads up driving by them all. But Gavin pitting in, getting away from the chaos. We'll have to see where he comes out, though, with how late he decided to come into the pits.
Again, when this pit cycle kind of started through, Rogers was around that 10th place position. We'll see if there's any net gains or too big of losses as Chris gets, who the one was challenging with, now heads into pit road, as well as Jared Talmadge gonna send his way into pit road. We'll finish out our pit stops here tonight, as it looks like for Tyler Dangler, he continues to stay in pit road. He's been in there for over 6 minutes, so I think his fun out on track might come to a conclusion, but it's good to see the 19 out there on course. As Ben Keeney goes 1 lap down, even if a caution came out, Thomas Green would not get that lucky dog spot unless Ben was involved with the incident. That is a tough pill for the 31, who, again, his internet issues at the start of the race really put him in a hole starting here tonight. But we look at our competition up ahead with the staying out call. Take that back. Still staying out was Larry Yingling, and that's why he's our current leader at this time. But Douglas Newbegin, with him pitting, even with sliding through his box, because it was a 5-lap difference, he is ahead of Jake Nichols as well as Brian McCann, who McCann, with his pit stop, has done a fabulous job to stay ahead of the 73.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually really impressed with Douglas Newbegin with that 2-second difference of his pit stop mishap that he had. Was still able to get out in front of Jake Nichols as far ahead as he did. So he has done a great job managing the pit stop, managing the speed coming back out and getting through traffic. So, but Jake Nichols has got him back in his sights and is getting pretty close. So Douglas Newbegin, the fight's not over yet.
It certainly isn't, and now we get to see what a two-lap difference on tires is going to look like for the 77 and 73. Is Nichols going to be in a hard charging, we got to get this lead position back, or is he willing to sit and wait, maybe pace himself with the 77 and see what can he gain or lose? As after one pit stop, really a lot of lessons can be learned. You need to be more aggressive. Did you run the perfect times you were looking for, that you were calculating with your tire wear? And do you need to change up your line that you were running? Because we're seeing a lot more drivers willing to attempt to run the apron. But if you didn't practice that line during practice for the warm-ups, that is a completely different type of racing that you're doing, going all the way down to the apron where there's practically no banking compared to the racing surface where you've only got 2 to 7 degrees of banking to work with.
Yes. I mean, it's really difficult to work with very flat tracks a lot of the times, but utilizing that apron, it's really helping these cars turn. That's the benefit of using the apron, because the apron's flat versus even the little bit of banking that these turns have. It helps rotate that car, and they're able to, believe it or not, save some tires by doing so, because they're not having to put as much gas into it to get the car to rotate. They don't have to turn the steering wheel as much to get the car to rotate as well and get it to turn. So they're kind of saving some of that tire resource by utilizing this apron, and we're seeing a lot of the drivers, they're starting to migrate down to that apron line.
And it also could be a defensive move of trying to just stop your competition that's moving forward down there. Force them to try a different lane if you have to. As watching Cedric Hunter, Zach Hall, Jan Van Leer, all challenging for 9th, 10th, 11th, currently on screen. We also want to say thank you to our title sponsor for the WSSR Cup Series for Season 12, Elwood Designs. Been around since 2012, helping the iRacing community find their way to show off their specialized race car schemes on iRacing, and you can go find their creative starting builds. You can go to Facebook and check out Elwood Designs, on X at Elwood Designs, and as well you can check them out at simratmarket.com. Go /designers/Alan Elwood to check out all of the Elwood Designs on Simrat Market. Simrat Market, a great place to find your baseline schemes if you want to make some of your schemes yourself. We also want to say thank you to GTR Simulators. GTR Simulators, your one-stop shop if you're looking to get your own racing rig at home, from stationary rigs to compact portable rigs that you can fold and put away if your room's too small to keep a rig open at all times. Go check out their wide range of products, from their compact V2 and many more, from GTRsimulators.com. And when purchasing, remember to use the promo code WSSR at checkout for purchases of $100 or more from GTRsimulators.com. Don't miss out on your chance to upgrade your rig and race like the pros. Well, we talked about what are going to be some of those pit stops. Are they hurting drivers? Are they helping drivers? And the main one we were curious about was Gavin Rogers. Where was he going to be placed? Well, he's just outside of that zone right before pit stops really started for the one machine, and he's right back to the competition he was racing with, but in a much better position than when he started this race off. I mean, 9 laps into a run and you're just outside of the top 10. This is perfect for Gavin Rogers, especially with the way he started this race off.
Yeah, starting, as far back as he did and as slow as he was going, trying to maintain the tires, coming out of the pits 2 spots back from where you came in at originally, is fantastic work. A great pit stop for Gavin Rogers. He's maintaining and utilizing his tires really well, keeping his pace under control. And that's exactly what you got to do sometimes. You got to get yourself calm, get your pace under control to your comfort and for the best possible way to move forward. And Gavin is really showcasing his ability to adapt again, finally, after the start of this chase.
He certainly is starting to find something now, moving up into 10th place after getting by Cedric Hunter. And one of the drivers, though, that gave up so much, but how much will he get back at the end of this run? I'm curious about 8th place runner in the 27 of Jarrett Talmadge. I mean, he was battling up there with Vincent Sora. He was up there about to challenge Brian McCann, also up there with John Forbes. Currently, with one of the last drivers to hit pit road, has given up over about 5 to 6 seconds of time. He's not racing really anyone, and I'm looking at the lap times. I mean, they're pretty similar to Brian McCann and Ryan Kelly. I'm shocked by how much time Talmadge has lost, but he's got to figure out a way to gain all this time back with pitting so late.
Yeah, it is kind of wild to see how far Jarrett Talmadge has fallen back from where he was running, but I mean, he's got to figure something out unless, everyone else has figured something out quicker than him or found out what they needed to change, and they've adapted. But Jarrett has got to adapt somehow. As we're right along with Ali Fonseca, he's back in front of Jarrett Talmadge also, trying to make his way back forward, just running quite a bit slower still than the guys in front of him. But Ollie did put a very, very good fight between him and Vincent Sora early in the race. So, I mean, Ollie's got some defensive moves with him. He's just got to try and make it work for the rest of this race.
Yeah, and Ollie was one of the first drivers to hit pit road, so he's feeling the hurt on the wear and tear, being 22 laps on the set tires, and currently runs in 7th place. Not a bad day for the 24 machine. But if we move ahead to Vincent Sora and Kelly, they're starting to build up another grouping of drivers. You could say the battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th is closing up between the 8 machine. 7 Forbes, Ryan Kelly, Vincent Sora. This is a group of drivers where currently they look spaced out, but looking at the lap times, they're slowly closing in on each other. And we're about to see another group battle, but the question is, will we see John Forbes challenge to hold off the 8, or will we see Ryan Kelly get a free pass to get through, or is everyone going to be fighting and clawing to hold on to what they have so far, as we are officially into the second half of this race?
Yeah, you can definitely tell, different drivers' thought mindsets whenever a driver catches them for a pass. If they're going to challenge them and not keep them from passing, then they're there to race. They're ready to race. It's about that time in their tire cycle. But if they generally let a driver just kind of go on by and not worry about trying to defend that position, they feel like they've got a little bit better pace later in the run. So they're like, all right, go ahead and take this spot now, but don't worry, I'll catch you in about 10 to 15 laps and I'll challenge you again because I know I've got a better pace later in this tire cycle.
Trying to find a little bit of something more as you look at the difference. Currently less than 4/10 between the 4th and 5th place runners of Brian McCann and Ryan Kelly. Kelly entering tonight has honestly been one of those drivers of, it was a coin toss. Was he going to bring the same speed that we've seen in the machine in the past, where he was dominant, finding his way into victory lane? He's done so once so far this season. He's got 3 top 5, 7 top 10s officially for Kelly entering tonight. And this 3 has always been a threat here in the WSSR Cup Series, even since his rookie season. And here for season 12, could this be the time that things change up as he has entered this season? 9th in points into the chase. And that is a doable position, as you're only 8 points away from Jake Nichols. The problem is you got to find a way to gain points on Nichols, who currently leads this race.
Yeah, whenever Jake Nichols is constantly winning like he has, majority of this season, it just builds up that point lead more and more. So you've got to find a way to get up there. You've got to find the pace to be able to challenge Jake Nichols like Douglas Newbegin has been doing. By the way, Jake Nichols back to the lead. Newbegin is now losing time on him by a second. They are only 20 and 22 laps into this stint. We did see Douglas start making better pace at about 35 laps. So, we still got a little bit before we potentially can see Douglas Newbegin start moving his way back forward again. But Jake Nichols back to the lead where we has seen him majority of this season.
As you see, the 73 leading this race, has been leading majority of this season when it comes to points. You've had over 44 points heading into last week's race at Talladega. He captured the regular season championship and ultimately was the driver that we knew. Even when we saw his name be listed as a rookie for this season, Jake Nichols was the driver that everyone had to beat. In every series he runs, a pro driver in the old Peak Antifreeze series, every league that he joins, Jake Nichols is the top driver. And it is always a question of who could try to contend to beat him. And as you can see, Lucky Duck Motorsports, they were hoping to add a few new names this season with John Forbes added to the mix, also having Thomas Green and Jared Talmadge trying to change things up. But it's the ones that have been here that have been doing things for Lucky Ducks of Nichols and Newbegin that lead the way so far. 1, 2, Forbes being the third Lucky Duck member there. And then it's Cody Glencock's music of Ryan Kelly and Ryan McCann, 4th, 5th. Hoping that they can run down those leaders, but it looks to be more of a challenge between each other for that battle for 3rd place. As you can see here, middle of the pack, here's some battling going on of Cedric Hunter trying to find a way to get by the 10 of Jan Van Leer, who, the driver who entered in 16th in points. He is currently, I got to give credit to Jan. With the lack of practice, he's doing pretty well battling for a top 10 position right now.
Yeah, it's impressive work for Jan Van Leer, challenging, up there racing with Gavin Rogers, trying to challenge and get this top 10 finish for himself. Coming in, like I said, last place in the chase for the championship right now in 16th. But, he still has a chance to gain points. So, just great work from him, running as far up as he has been this race. So, it's impressive to see and just great to see for himself as well.
Yeah, when you look at the statistics entering into the chase, Jan was one of those underdog drivers that really had the toughest at times. He only has 2 top 10s. The other driver was Chris Stitz, who's 2 positions back in the 17. He also only has 2 top 10s so far. But if you look at the drivers and where they run on screen, that 10 and the 13, they've had their squabbles quite a few times this season of running into one another. I was riding on board and listening in on a couple of Category 5 esports streams and listening to their conversations, and Cedric is always nervous when he's around the 10 because they don't intentionally mean to run into one another, but it's bound to happen at least a few times this season already. And I know the 13's a little nervous knowing that he's got to find a way to get by this Tide machine that is just trying to run his outside lane and feel comfortable where he's at.
Yeah, he's just trying to have a comfortable line. The good thing about running that outside line, we saw it earlier with Ali Fonseca. You might not have the greatest entry into the turn, but it's that exit, that massive drag race down the straightaways, these long straightaways, it gives you such a momentum boost on those outside lines. So he's doing a good job of just kind of staying calm, keeping his line tight and easy for himself. We haven't seen him really have any issues with controlling his car. We see the typical get a little loose out of the turns we see a lot of these drivers deal with, but he's doing a very good job. It's a huge wall hit for Chris Stitz behind Cedric Hunter there.
Just trying to save the car, but the outside wall snuck up before he could catch it. And now the 17 is in an awkward spot. Do you let your teammate go of Larry Yingling? And it looks like the 17 will do so. There's no required damage flag given to Stitz, but you can just visibly see looks extremely uncomfortable after that contact of the outside wall. As continuing to fight, it's going to be the 10 and the 13 for 11th place, but Cedric Hunter, he gets a little bit wiggly, and we're in that awkward spot. If you didn't protect your tires This is going to be a rough second half of this stint, as most of the field is ran about 30 laps on this set of tires.
Yeah, this is the part where the tires' life is slowly starting to wear away, and this is where good cars are going to get really loose. You're not going to have a lot of grip in those rear tires, so when you go to get back on the gas, you got to be a little easier on it. And we saw there Cedric Hunter probably got on a little too hard onto the gas, which made that rear end kind of step out from him. Was able to gather the car back up and keep it straight and out of the wall, but he's going to have to wait a little while for those tires to kind of cool off and get a little bit of life back into it.
As Larry Yingling trying to find a way to get by Cedric Hunter, as former teammates of Category 5 Esports. Del Yingling joined up with Ryan Kelly to make Yin Yang Racing, that has now turned into the Cody Glencock's music racing team, where you've got now Brian McCann joining them, as well as Chris Stitz. We move up to the battling action that's happening for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Problem, though, is for the 3 of Ryan Kelly. You know, talking about his teammate who got into the wall. Well, connection issues seem to be the issue for the 3, as he has been blinking periodically for the last about 5 laps or so. He did it earlier in the race, thought it got completely cleared up, but that blinking in and out, especially after what we just saw from Thomas Green to start this race off, isn't a comfortable feeling for the 3 machine.
No, you never like the situation of having blinks in the race. Like, it's kind of nerve-wracking for you. It's nerve-wracking for the drivers around you, especially when you're in a situation where you're running 4 points for a championship now, since we're in the chase. I mean, you got to figure out these network issues. I mean, sometimes you can't help it. Like, it's, you know, the internet, your internet service provider might be having some maintenance or just some weather-affected reasonings, but you hate seeing it when a driver starts blinking in front of you.
You certainly do hate to see it, but you'll love to see this close racing action as John Force, Vincent Sora back and forth, trying to find ways to get by one another. The absolute rivalry and duels that both the 15 and the 7 have had in multiple different leagues has been one of my favorite things to watch over the years. We've seen the 7 and the 15 battle for championships in the ISRC Truck Series, and also here in the WSSR Cup Series, they've had their duels. And it just continues to show, even when they change different vehicles, they're still on top of one another. This is currently the battle for 5th place, as 4th place and 3rd are directly ahead of them. I know in chat we've had Rev and Tyler chiming in. Thanks so much to everyone that is watching with us here this evening. I'm curious on those that are able to chat, if you're possible, who are you rooting for? What has been your favorite moment so far tonight? Watching so many great duels from the battle for 4th, the battling further on back. And we are closing in on our final pit stop of the evening, as the question will now be in for a lot of these drivers. They've entered now into the pit window, where fuel-wise you're good to mid-ticket to the end. But Richard, when do you want to take the tires? This is the ultimate question, because looking at drivers that went with the undercut, that pitted sooner than their competition, they've been greatly rewarded. While drivers that waited an extreme amount of time, they were not. They are still far on back. We're talking about one of those is Jarrett Talmadge in 7th place. He is still yet to catch up to those that are battling for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But he has done a pretty good job of closing the gap in. It's just he still is nowhere close, and we're about to hit this pit cycle start up again.
Yeah, this is such a tough situation for the drivers. They've got to decide, all right, do I want to run a little further on older tires and bleed time while these guys pit earlier than me and undercut me? Or do I want to take that chance and have a faster car for longer, or for a shorter amount of time than they do when it comes closer to the end of the race? So it's all about your driving style, really, because some of these drivers, they can run longer. Like Gavin Rogers, he was able to run a little bit longer than everybody else, and he's sitting in 9th when he was back in 19th at one point in this race. So Gavin, he might be able to run a little longer than some of these drivers and get newer tires and be on fresh tires for a last surge for himself. Drivers like Jake Nichols and Douglas Newbigging, though, they might want to pit a little earlier because they have the longer run pace that a lot of these drivers don't have. So it's always a balance of what you think everybody else will do and what you're comfortable with your car and how you've been driving all day. As Vincent Sora is the first driver to take it to pit road.
First one to pit and doesn't want to wait as he hits lap 99, not even at 100. I thought we were going to see a couple of drivers wait until maybe 100 or 105. That was going to be the lap I was kind of circled up of the window. We were going to see a lot of these drivers pit. Some might go to lap 120 if they feel like they can utilize those final 30 laps of a run. But this now puts the pressure on the competition. That third, fourth, fifth place drivers, where Sora was at. Do you pit this go around? No, they don't. They go another lap around. So Vincent Sora will jump these drivers because Sora's exiting pit road. He's actually going to be right behind the group of drivers that he was just challenging. So we'll get a good view of when those drivers finally decide to hit pit road. But Jake Nichols, Douglas Newbigging, I mean, that is not even a competition anymore. Douglas Newbigging, you've had a great first stint. But Jake Nichols said, I'm going to prove that I am the fastest driver here tonight. That 73 being over 6 seconds ahead. When the last time that they started the first pit stop of the evening, it was only about a 6/10 difference between those two drivers.
Yeah, this is a very interesting change in the front of the field here between those two, because it just seems like Douglas Newbigging, his speed is kind of plateaued in this run. I don't know if he did something different, if he changed, or if Jake Nichols finally was like, you know, let's kick the afterburners in and show what I've got here at New Hampshire. But yeah, it is a massive difference, almost 7-second difference between Jake Nichols and Douglas Newbigging for the lead. And Douglas, I mean, his speeds are a decent amount slower than they were at the end of that last run. So I'm interested to see what Douglas changed, or if he's changed anything.
Well, one of the factors that can change here on iRacing as we race on a dynamic weather system is the weather. That means the track surface can change, the weather can change, and there is the dramatic change. Air temperature stayed the same. The track temp, it rose. It is up 5 degrees from where it was at when this race started, and that's the big change. That honestly, 5 degrees is a massive change for some of these vehicles on iRacing, and it could really mess with your handling completely. Some of those zones that you feel the most comfortable with. Even 1 degree can really make a major difference for some drivers.
Yeah, when the track temperature rises even very little bit like this, at 5 degrees, I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, like you were saying, but it's actually, you know, huge when it comes to your tires, because the tires will heat up a lot quicker when it's a 5-degree difference on the track. So, and when they heat up a lot quicker, that means the wear tends to happen. You lose the grip that the tires had when it was cooler. So that could be the major factor that has definitely changed how Douglas Newbigging has been able to handle this car.
As more drivers are hitting pit road, we're still waiting for majority of the field to make that decision of when to go in, as our top 8 still yet to hit pit road for the final time here tonight. Other drivers also yet to pit. Chuck Sweeting, the 57, has been Keeney as well, as Jan Van Leer have just made their pit entry, joining the ranks of Vincent Sora, Brian McCann, Ryan Kelly, Zach Hall, Chris Stitz, as they continue to wait. Who will take those final pit stops and when, as Douglas Newbigging is now into pit road. This is the call. It's the undercut for the 77, who's got to make a major leap on Jake Nichols, who does not even allow it. He enters pit road the next go around.
Jake Nichols not allowing that undercut to benefit Douglas Newbigging at all. Douglas Newbigging, he's got to be patient, though. He can't just go out there and rocket his times up. He's got to, you know, take care of those tires. You take care of the tires like you did in before the first pit stops happen, then you can have a better chance of getting close again to Jake Nichols. But it's just being patient and don't over push your car. And I think that's what Douglas Newbigging really needs to focus on now in this run.
Yeah, as you're seeing teammates racing around one another, here's going to be the 5-lap down machine, the 31 of Thomas Green, as we've documented his internet issues that forced him to go 6 laps down, and now is challenging Jarrett Talmadge, as Talmadge is currently the leader. You would hope that your teammate wouldn't be challenging you this hard, but you know what? I think because of where Jarrett Talmadge was in difference of other drivers, it's kind of like, you know what? Let's just have some fun. There's not a big loss. There's not a big gain. As long as we don't wreck each other, We're having fun here at New Hampshire as the final pit stops are closing in. Ali Fonseca now into pit road, leaving us with 3 drivers yet to finish out their pit stops. Thomas Green needs to make a final stop. Same for Jared Tallmadge as these two go back and forth, as well as Barry England in second. Those are the final 3 drivers that need to pit before this race is over. And closing in on the final 40 laps of this race, Richard, it's been a great back and forth for a majority of the field in the middle of this pack, but there's the tire difference. Cedric Hunter just throwing it down the inside, able to take off and go. Same for the 98, just the grip levels showing that it's so much easier to get going. But Ben in the 98 just is struggling to really get by our current second place runner.
Ben Keeney, he is also sitting three laps down currently also for himself. So unfortunate to see for himself. He will get one back here as Larry Yingling still needs to pit, and so does Jarrett Tallmadge. So he'll be 2 laps down. But yeah, I mean, it's been impressive racing throughout the entire field. I mean, there's small groups here that they can't separate from each other, and it's a lot of side-by-side racing. To see Ben Keeney there get a little loose coming out of turn 2, trying to get around the 67 machine here, if you Larry Yingling. But yeah, the race has definitely been very exciting from front to back, seeing what these drivers are able to do and how they're getting the passes done.
As for Ben this season, it's kind of a rough one for himself, but Ben's been one of those drivers that we love to watch how he develops throughout a season. His 2 best finishes have come when we changed vehicles over to this Legacy Gen 4 Cup car. He got 15th twice at Indianapolis and Talladega when he started off the year off pretty well. Here tonight, it's a tough track in New Hampshire. If you can't get the handling of this vehicle immediately, it is a rough night from start to finish. But Ben surviving, at least looks like, as long as he can make it to the end of this race, he could have one of his best finishes of the season. Again, 15th is his best finish, and he's just outside of that 15th position if other drivers start to struggle.
Yeah, Ben Keeney's still looking for a strong race tonight, even though he's going to be 2 laps down once the pit cycle's complete. As we see Jarrett Tallmadge, he's calling it in. He's coming in to get some fresh rubber and some fuel to make it at the end of the race. So just waiting on Larry Yingling now, and Ben Keeney will be, nope, he's already passed Larry Yingling, so that'll put him 2 laps down officially. But, I mean, even 2 laps down, he's got to hope maybe something happens with Chuck Sweeting, because, I mean, a 15th finish would be great for Ben.
Jake Nichols is driving so fast that even with making his pit stop, he is on the back bumper of Larry Yingling. The 73 is out of this world quick, as he is already cut the pit stop where it doesn't even matter. He's already made his final pit stop of the day. Douglas Newbigging is 6.5 seconds back from the battle for the lead, and Yingling, congratulations, you had the lead. You still need to make a final pit stop. You've been passed for the lead by the 73.
Yeah, this is something you don't see very often. I mean, Larry Yingling, it's not that he was extremely slow all race, it's just Jake Nichols is just that quick. Made the pit stop at the right time, but Larry Yingling, when he does come into pit, he should be a little bit quicker than some of these guys that have already been out on the track for a while. But, I mean, you see the closing speed that he has, even on Ben Keeney up there right in front of him, of Jake Nichols here. He's going to put Ben Keeney down another lap, making him 3 laps down again. So, unfortunate for Ben, but, I mean, he's still out there. He's having a good time. But Jake Nichols is really just put the afterburners on and is just trying to keep that lead ahead as far as he can.
Well, if you're just joining us, let's bring up our race report. You know, entering tonight, looking at the notes, there was a chance that this could have been one of our wreck-filled races, one of the biggest throwaway races of the season. But New Hampshire here for season 12, low car count, drivers, and it's been 1 caution only, and it was that first lap when Brian Noel went sliding off the exit of turn 2. Since then, we've been clean and green, and it has been fantastic racing so far. The mid-pack of different battles for position. Front's been all Jake Nichols, and, you know, was looking at this season. I was talking with one of the admins and owners of WSSR, Zach Hall, and talking about the vehicle run this season from the new Gen 4 car that iRacing dropped, to then transitioning to the Legacy Gen 4 car, and the lack of points in wrecks. It has been on record, this has been the least amount of incident points collected by a group ever in the WSSR Cup Series. The caution counts have been extremely low this season. And this has been some of the cleanest racing we've seen in a while here. I know last couple of seasons it's been rough with drivers being on top of one another, the vehicles being tough. But here tonight, even with a very loose and out of control handling vehicle, it's incredible. The fact that there's only one caution and how close everyone's been has been very much a big clap, a round of applause to the field for keeping it as clean as they have.
Yeah, they've been doing a fantastic job with this car change from the new 2003 Gen 4 that iRacing dropped. I have to say, you know, across the field, watching the racing from up here in the booth, it just looks like this was a huge win decision for the admins to move to this Legacy Gen 4. The racing has been a lot better. There's been a lot more passing that we have been seeing. So, I mean, it's just a fantastic decision, just big. And it's a hard decision also in the middle of a season to switch to a different car. The benefit was it was basically the exact same car, just minor differences, mainly with visual, but also with the updates they've been doing on the iRacing side. So this was a huge decision by the admin, and they did the right thing, I think, with the switch to this Legacy Gen 4.
Yeah, I will agree with you that it was the right decision to make, but man, is it a tough one when you tell a league throughout the offseason, this is the vehicle that we're going to be running all season long, and then you realize, we got to change it, and they do, and how successful it has been watching. I know Jake Nichols took him a few races before he got back into the swing of things like he was doing with the old vehicle that we were running to start the season off, but he is right back to his dominant ways. And for Larry Yingling, he continues to stay out, banking on a caution as the 67, as he'll now fall to third place. But here's some of the battling happening for 8th position of Zach Hall, Ali Fonseca, as well as Chris Stitz in the mix as they continue to fight back and forth. Ali Fonseca is going to have the advantage on tires as his tires are 13 laps old, while Zach Hall and Chris Stitz on the older set. 19-lap old tires for Hall, 18-lap old set of tires for Stitz. And Fonseca makes the pass, but we'll see here in the next 20 laps does Hall have enough time to rally back to take that position for himself. All the way back in 12th, here's Gavin Rogers as he's kind of slowly trying to close in on the gap on Jarrett Talmadge and a couple of other drivers, as well as Jan Van Leer in the 10, trying to find a way to close in on the gap on the 1 for this battle for 12th.
You know, for Gavin, again, he's doing really better on the long run today here at New Hampshire, but I think the laps are starting to wind down little by little. I think it's time for him to start picking up the pace. Of course, that's his decision as the driver if he's listening, but I feel like he's going to run out of time to get further than he potentially could. But I mean, it's still great to see Gavin finally find some stride in this car and find some pace that he has just kind of been lacking since the spring.
Yeah, but I know for Gavin, this is still kind of a heartbreaking season coming off the championship last season and being one of the very few drivers that made it into the chase with 0 top 10 so far. Those other drivers being Chuck Sweeting and Chris Stitz, as well as Jan Van Leer, the only drivers to not have a top 5 coming into the chase. And that is a tough pill to swallow for the one machine that, honestly, some of the tracks earlier on, he did have top 5 speed. He was caught up in some wrecks that really took away his opportunities of good runs. Speaking about good runs, up front, Douglas Newbigging, he continues to run well, but under pressure as Brian McCann, Ryan Kelly, trying to find a way to get around the 77. But the fresher tires for Newbigging is keeping him ahead at this current time as the battle is there, lap traffic as well. Now it's starting to get a little bit mixy with 27 laps to go here tonight, about to be 26.
Yeah, Douglas Newbigging is doing a really good job. Those newer tires, and it's only a couple of laps, but they are really kind of helping him stay in front of the 8 machine. But I just don't know if he's got enough life in those tires left, because I feel like he's been trying to push his car as hard as he can. He wants his chance to get back up to Jake Nichols again and challenge for the win. He was leading. It's such a great thing to feel, especially when you pass a driver like Jake Nichols for the lead and lead for as long as Douglas did, and then you just come out of the pits and you're so far behind. So he's doing everything he can as he loses the spot finally to the number 8 machine of Brian McCann.
Brian McCann gonna be staying to the outside. Douglas Newbegin putting the pressure on, as well as the lap car. Ben Keeney watching the great racing action. But Ryan Kelly, who's been one of the fastest drivers when it comes to the long run, especially that last stint, the 3 is emerging for a chance of a top 3 finish here tonight if he can find the opportunity to get by the lap car and then challenge the 2 ahead and maybe hope for a little bit of issues as the final driver to make a pit stop. Larry Yingling could not make it any further. Finally going to enter pit road and fall outside of the top 15 once his pit stop is over. That is a rough one for the 3-time champ, who had to take a gamble to try to hope for the track position before this race was over. The gamble didn't work out, as we're seeing Ryan Kelly get a little bit nervous trying to get by the lap car of Ben Keeney in front of him.
Yeah, that was kind of a nerve-wracking moment right there. Ben Keeney was low and then get a quick dive to the outside right in front of Ryan Kelly. So a little nerve-wracking to see that from a lap car in front of you, but you still got to get around him to try to challenge, catch up to Douglas Newbegin and challenge for the 3rd place. But Douglas still not letting Brian McCann get that far away from him. He's still trying to keep that gap as close as he can. I mean, it's still, I think it's getting to the point where I think Douglas is, was better on the tire saving spot. So hopefully we can see that speed back into the 77 machine here in the next couple of laps.
Well, if we're going to see a caution, it might happen either with this group or the group that's about to be challenging for 7th place. Reason why? Ollie Fonseca's got another pack behind him that he's got to find a way to defend. And those first 40 laps, well, that was a great showing of what maybe defensive plays he has in his playbook for these final 20 laps here tonight. Because if Ollie wants to keep a top 10 finish, he's got to throw out everything to try to hold back Jared Talmadge, as well as Chris Stitz, Zach Hull, Gavin Rogers, that are trying to rally their way to close in on the 24. And here we go, Fonseca and Talmadge. How long will this fight go on for? And will it take us to the checkers? Or will it end quickly, as Talmadge does have a bigger advantage on tires? It's about a 6 to 5 lap difference on tires between Talmadge and Fonseca. Talmadge with the advantage, but Fonseca is back to the top where he was defending perfectly before.
Yeah, Fonseca was doing a fantastic job defending against Sora earlier in the race on this outside line. He's able to get the run down the straightaways out of the turn. He just doesn't have the entrance into the turn like we saw Jarrett Talmadge there, who's throwing it as they enter into the turn, throwing it straight to the bottom, which is allowing him to get the run through the first half of the turn. But then you see Ollie's kind of surge forward and get the momentum out of the exit. As you see right here, as they drag race again. I mean, the only thing Ollie can really defend in the long run is get down on the door of the 27 machine, but I just don't think Ollie's got the tire life to be able to challenge it like that.
No, and Ollie really was pushing the issue, going extremely wide, especially through 1 and 2, to try to get a much higher apex point, to straighten it out, have a longer straightaway on speed. It just did not work out on defending there, and that major tire difference is really what's hurting him at this time. The next closest battle that's happening, well, that's the battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Ryan Kelly is now finally caught up to this group, and as well Larry Yingling, who's a lap down, trying to get those laps back. He's going to march his way to try to get by the 8 machine to Brian McCann, but also behind them, Ben Keeney having a lot of slip and slide moments these last few laps for the 98, as Vincent Sora gets by, and that's another driver to emerge into this battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Make it now almost all of our top 5 going to be on top of one another. The only problem is your leader is 10 seconds ahead of you and is setting up to lap down 13th, 12th, and maybe even 11th before this race is over with 18 laps to go.
Jake Nichols is just in a completely new time zone from everybody on the track. He has lost a little bit, looked like he lost a little bit of time at first to Brian McCann, but not quite. He's able to get that gap spread out a little bit more. But Douglas Newbegin, a huge promising start to this race, and I just don't think he's been able to adapt with the change in the temperature of the track and the air. So, I mean, still is nothing to hang his hat or his head down on. He's had an incredible run tonight. The only mistake so far we've seen him have was on pit road, so a great run for the 77 machine nonetheless.
And the big positive you can take as the field is this is just the start of the chase. We have Auto Club next week. as well as the 09 Texas configuration going to be from 2 weeks from now. So there is opportunities to gain some of these positions and points back. Problem, as we've been interviewing Jake Nichols almost every week this season, is the fact that the 73 feels like these upcoming racetracks are his best on the iRacing service. So if you're going to beat the best driver currently in the league, you got to beat him at his best tracks here that are lined up. 16 laps to go, making now 15, as Jake Nichols in the 73 just putters around, hit his marks, and he will be okay. The one thing that can hurt him is if we have a late caution, which again, that just is lingering around that 3rd, 4th, and 5th place position where we have our cameras on right now.
Yeah, this is one of some of the closest racing we have, and it's not even that super close either. They're just all within, just a fraction of a second of each other, but not right on top of each other yet. So, I mean, if there is going to be incident, it'll probably be here when these guys are finally trying to make their passes to move up one more position. But I mean, it's going to be. Oh, there it is. We have a caution.
There it is. Caution is out, and it's the 98. And this is the dramatic ending that you could have asked for. It looked almost solidified and done. Well, let's get these drivers into pit road, throw some freshies on, and get a little bit messy here as we take a look at what got Ben spun around, as I believe it was a cell spin coming out of the exit of turn number 4, and he had been having troubles for the last 10 laps in that spot. But Ben doing everything to try to keep this thing pointed straight in those final 12 laps, but not going to be the case as the 98 goes low, runs the apron, tries to accelerate out of the corner, but then just loses the rear end right at that transitional phase.
Man, and a huge hit to the nose right on the inside wall. But yeah, that transition just put a little bit too much power down for how old the tires were for Ben Keeney. I mean, like you said, we saw him struggling quite a few laps back, especially in front of the drivers that were racing to the top 5s and stuff. But, unfortunate to see for Ben Keeney, who was just trying to hold on for the rest of the race.
And now everyone gets to make the decision of pit stops. Everyone expected to take 4 tires and fuel, but who will risk it for maybe 2 tires? I'm not expecting many to take that decision and choice, but everyone driving down pit road, what do you take? 4 tires? 2 tires? Somebody is gonna risk it, but who will be the willing gambler here as the drivers exit out of pit road? Ryan Kelly's going to be the first one, take off and go, and it's 2 tires for the 3 machine, and many more. Nichols will not be in control of this race when we go green.
Yeah, a lot of 2 tire stops. I knew there were going to be a few drivers to do that. It is under 10 laps to go in this race, and a lot of drivers say if you're within that 15 to 20 laps to go in the race, 2 tires is really the go-to strategy for a lot of these tracks. So, I mean, you're putting a lot of stress on those right side tires with this flat surface. I mean, this could very well be the race deciding win for a lot of these drivers that took the gamble.
Well, if you've been snoozing and sleeping and waiting for this race to end, it's time to wake up, time to share the stream, because we're about to have a dramatic end to this one. Jake Nichols will restart in 5th. Your front 2 rows going to be on drivers with 2 tires. The wheel spin's going to be dangerous. Who will have the grip? And we know 3 wide, 4 wide will be utilized here tonight. The question is, will they survive those major attempts? We're stacked up, about to be going green. Richard, this is about to be a restart of the whole season, I think. How do you start the chase off? Do you get a win? Do you stop the 73's momentum? Or do you throw your race away and your whole chase away in one fell swoop?
And for throwing a race away, Douglas Newbigging might have just done that. I believe he got pinged for speeding because he is all the way back behind Jan Van Leer in the 13th position.
It was caught for speeding, and we'll see what he can gain back, but a top 4, no longer an opportunity. It's now to see who will get it done. Front 4 going to be on 2 tires as we are back to green flag action here for race number 1 of the chase for the WSSR Cup Series Season 12. They're already 3 wide down into turn number 1, and it's Jake Nichols. Will he get the exit, though, as they roar out of turn number 2? Nichols is fighting for 4th, but it's Ryan Kelly and everyone trying to defend the 73.
73 on cold tires. You saw him get a little loose. He was able to keep it very straight. It was a minor mistake, but that stopped his momentum forward. Couldn't get side by side. As you see Brian McCann, he gets a little loose, but he saves it from getting in the wall, but that is massive ground loss for the number 8 machine.
Huge time loss, and it's going to be Jake Nichols forcing the issue on Jared Talmadge. Teammates of Lucky Duck Motorsports going to be tagged side by side, and Jake Nichols gets loose, loses more time. Stitz gets by. Same going to be Gavin Rogers attempting to make a pass to the inside groove on the 73. It's wide open now. These are massive points to try to close in on our points leader entering this evening. Ryan Kelly is good. He continues to lead another lap, but now the looming question, can we even stay green? Because Vincent saw another dive bomb move for the 15.
A lot of these drivers have got to be thinking, are the cracks showing on the 73 machine? A very rare mistake you see as he got loose and fell back some major ground there. He's got to look to see what he can do and try to get through these guys, but they are door to door as he sits it in the middle of Stitz and Vincent Zora.
He's going to be in the middle of 3 wide racing action, and drivers all on top of one another. He put a big block on the 73 because he's going to go down to the apron. Nobody defends it. Down to the white line. Nichols is looking for the space. Now they're going to be stacked 3 wide for now. John Force trying to accelerate, but he gets loose in front of the 73. Vincent Sora losing time as he slides off the exit of turn 2. Big loss for the 15. He'll fall back to 19th position. Ryan Kelly is just hoping that every car that's in between him and the 73 holds him back for another lap. 6 laps to go here from New Hampshire.
You're seeing a lot of mistakes from drivers you don't see mistakes from normally, but that's just this kind of track. It is a rhythm-based track, and now we're on a shootout sprint to the finish. You're seeing these mistakes because these drivers are trying to go as fast as they can and not trying to save the tires. But, I mean, you see Vincent Sora, he messed up. You got 73 of Jake Nichols, he messed up. But he is moving his way back forward. He's on the outside of Stitz, trying to push Ollie Fonseca.
Ollie Fonseca, who's been one of the best defensive drivers when it comes to these fresh tires. He's still trying to defend Jared Talmadge. The brawl. This is round number 3 for the 2 of these drivers. And Fonseca is still keeping it close. But it's Jake Nichols that's trying to push the purple machine forward. You got to be careful if you're Ollie Fonseca. As well for Talmadge. One slip up can just throw this great run away. But Nichols is just pinched and blocked. He cannot go anywhere with Stitz underneath him.
Yeah, Jake Nichols is definitely boxed in right now with Stitz on his inside and Ollie Fonseca just in front of him. You saw Stitz kind of throw it into the turn there, and they got side by side into each other's doors. But Jake Nichols has got to be frustrated. He knows he can get around these drivers. He just doesn't have the opportunity to do so. He doesn't have a lane clear enough for him to go, but he's going to try to force the 3 wide. But Ollie, a great job pinning that car to the middle lane, is going to stop that haymaker from the 73.
And now coming across the line, 3 laps to go for the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly. The problem, the driver directly behind you, the 27 of Jared Talmadge. He is the lead driver with 4 fresh tires underneath him. Ryan Kelly, he's only got 2 freshies underneath him, but they're 3 wide battling for third. It's Nichols, Stitz, Fonseca, and Nichols throwing it down to the apron. Will he keep the momentum? Will the slide job move work? Stitz backs off, but he gets the run. He's to the outside quarter panel. Ollie Fonseca trying to roar his way forward, and they'll drag race still for 3rd place, but the battle for the lead, it's within a 10th now. Ryan Kelly is under pressure. Stitz, did he throw all his momentum away as the 23 is trying to find an opening? He'll throttle his way forward, but a big slide from the 3. 2 tenths between our top 2 as we're looking for the white flag off the exit turn number 4. We look up to the flag stand. They're still hard racing back for 4th place, but it's Kelly, Talmadge. Talmadge only has 2 more attempts. White flag in hand for your set precision Prince. White flag for the field as they head into 1.
Diving down into turn 1, you saw the 73 finally get around Ollie Fonseca as Jan Van Leer is also trying to challenge the 73 machine. He's in 5th place. He's looking low, but right now Jared Talmadge is going to try to throw a haymaker onto number 3 into turn 3.
Down to the apron. Does Talmadge have the run? Was the dive bomb big enough? He'll slide his way into the 3. They're almost door banging off the exit of turn 4. Side by side, coming to the line, and it's going to be Ryan Kelly with the nose. 6 1/1000ths of a second goes to Ryan Kelly. Kelly, and Jan Van Leer gets his first top 5 of the season. What a charge here in New Hampshire at the end.
Massive fireworks for that finish there. As you saw, Jarrett Talmadge was bullying his way through that turn, was dooring the number 3 up to the outside wall, but Ryan Kelly with the outside line had the momentum out of the turn and was able to edge his nose just ahead of the 27 to score the first win of the chase.
I don't know if we can get a replay of that finish, but that was incredible. To the line. 7/1000ths of a second, and it was a drag race between the 27 and the 3, with the 17 looking in the mirror. But as they came to the line, it was all you could ask for. They beat, they bang, and it's the 3 with the nose ahead when they made contact, and he keeps the nose ahead as they cross the line. That's what you're looking for when you enter at a short track and you've got to shoot out there at the end.
And also a phenomenal finish for the 17 machine of Chris Stitz, who had a front row seat to that finish between the 3 and the 27.
Ryan Kelly, exactly what he needed. He entered tonight 9th in points. Chris Stitz entered tonight 14th in points. And Jared Talmadge, that is some massive points that he was looking for. Only going to be just going to be a few. But it's enough to close the gap on Jake Nichols, who only was able to scave away in 4th after dominating this race. A late race caution just threw away Nichols' 10.5-second lead to give us this finish. I mean, this is all you could ask for. I mean, at one moment here, I thought Jan Van Leer was going to just throw it in and almost take out Nichols, but he backs off, looked for a clean entry. Instead, it was the battle for the lead that had the dive bomb move. And Jarrett Talmadge did everything in his power to get by the 3, but it wasn't enough. Ryan Kelly gets his 2nd win of the season, and what a time to grab it on the first race of the chase to set the tempo.
That is a phenomenal picture right there, as you see how close it is between those two drivers. And that is a fantastic way to start off your chase for the championship for the number 3 machine. He has got to be excited about that finish.
If you've ever been curious on what a bumper can do for you, that is what it is. That is 7/1000ths of a second, the difference between Talmadge and Ryan Kelly. Well, we'll be talking to both of those drivers as well as Chris Stitz, because we've got the post-race show. We'll talk to those 3. We'll get you amped up for Auto Club. What a finish after a race that looked like it was all Jake Nichols. It's Ryan Kelly taking the victory. We'll be back right after this for the post-race show. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. What a finish. The best finish of season 12 so far by 7/1000ths of a second. Ryan Kelly in the 3 machine gets the head to victory lane, and it was a grueler. The one driver who took 2 tires finds a way to hold back the field that took 4. Ryan, what a finish for yourself. Man, how are you feeling after that one here tonight?
Yeah, this is crazy. I definitely didn't expect to win there without that last caution, and just put on 2 tires there and hope for the best. And they started fighting behind me, and just gave me a shot to hold on there. And what I finished there with Jarrett.
Yeah, that was a fantastic finish to the race there, Ryan. I mean, we saw you have some late run speed later in the race, but that late caution, I mean, did you think you were going to be able to hold them off with just the 2-tire call?
Wasn't sure. I was kind of hoping a lot of people would follow and take 2 also, but it seemed like most of the guys behind me were on 4. So I think it helped that they were fighting there early. And yeah, I can't believe it. I thought, Jake dominated the race, so I was thinking he was going to win it, and I was following my teammate Brian, who was really fast too, and qualified on the pole. So, yeah, I can't believe I won, and happy I'm here.
I mean, Ryan, all throughout this race, you were one of the faster drivers when it came to the long run. What was it like tonight with the fact of seeing so many different variations of how to run this racetrack, and you trying to find your own that would save the tires to be quick at the end?
Yeah, it was definitely cool to be able to run different lanes tonight, and seeing the gallons of gas before the race, knowing it would probably just be a 2-stopper without cautions. So I was definitely thinking long run tonight, and just trying to be easy at the beginning of the runs, and yeah, just the cautions fell right, and it led to a good finish.
It certainly did. The best finish of season 12 so far. Ryan, congratulations on the win to start out the chase. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, just all my teammates tonight, and got some family watching, and all the guys that put on this league, and you guys put on the show, and all the drivers. Looking forward to next week.
Well, thank you for giving us such a great show to call. That will be your winner here tonight in New Hampshire. First race of the chase will go to Ryan Kelly in the 3 machine. Ryan, enjoy this one, and good luck next week at Auto Club.
Thanks, guys.
As we move from victory lane, we head down to second place. The first driver that took 4 tires and coming up shy, just 1 position off, was Jarrett Talmadge. But Jarrett, you gave us the best finish of season 12 so far. Man, how are you feeling? I know you would hope to have the victory. It didn't happen, but what a finish for yourself there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good finish there, to be honest. Really close. I'm pretty ecstatic to walk away second still, even, not winning, just considering I was 7th, 6th, somewhere near there, way off the lead, not even close to it, just downright horrible tonight. So to come away with second and ahead of most playoff guys, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, Jarrett, fantastic finish in second place tonight, and we've seen how moves that you were willing to take a lot of times in some races, and you did a fantastic job really kind of keeping it clean between you and Ryan Kelly coming through that last turn. I mean, what was going through your head when, you almost had a chance to kind of door him up into the wall?
It was that the devil on the shoulder was there down the backstretch just to go down in there and clean his clock, but I don't want to race like that. I wouldn't want him to do it to me. But, I obviously was going to go down in there. I knew he was only on 2. Somehow it obviously felt better than 4. But my goal was just to move him up the racetrack a little bit, hoping he would lose grip. And I don't know, he put him on his shoulder and whipped it around the outside of me. So it was really fun. Like I said, I wasn't going to clean his clock. Glad to race clean for it and for it to be so close there.
Well, Jarrett, this is just the start of the chase. You finish ahead of Jake Nichols as well of John Forbes and Brian McCann, so you're going to be gaining points to be up there in the top 4 still heading into Auto Club next week. What is the confidence level for the rest of the chase, knowing that the next 3 races is Auto Club, 09 Texas, and Charlotte?
It's sky high at this point because coming into it, this was my worst track. I was not looking forward to this. I don't like it on iRacing. And it was turning out that way to be, my worst track. So to come away with points ahead of those guys is really huge. Like you said, going into Auto Club, where honestly I feel like anybody can be good there. Texas 09 I haven't run, but I know I'm not as bad there as I am here. So it's really good momentum rolling forward to, like you said, have points on those guys and hopefully continue to stack the points above them.
Well, Jared, congratulations on second here tonight. What a run and finish it was to call. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
I'd like to shout out you guys put on the broadcast, everybody who runs the league. Got standuptocancer.org on the hood of the car again this week. Shout out to my teammates. I'm not going to name them all because there's too many, but shout out to those guys. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, that'll be the 27 of Jared Talmadge coming away second here tonight at New Hampshire. Congratulations on that finish, and good luck next week at Auto Club.
Thank you.
As we move down from second place to third, we get to talk to another Cody Glencock's music racing driver. That's the 17 of Chris Stitz. And Chris, I talked to you and the team before the race, and it kind of was, well, as long as we survive, we're good. How about a third place finish for yourself? How are you feeling after tonight's finish?
Hell yeah, that was awesome. Thank you for the confident boost there, Sam. I think you're the reason we got a little 1 and 3 right there.
Yeah, Chris, fantastic race at the end there. I mean, you came into this chase this season with only 2 top 10 finishes and no top 5s, and to start the chase scoring a third place, being able to talk to us for the first time this season as well. I mean, how is that feeling going into the next few races here in the chase this season?
It's definitely going to be a huge confidence booster. I was having a lot of troubles with my pedals during honestly majority of the season, and just trying to figure out the settings. I messed everything up, and I just was like kind of getting down. I was like, because you keep finishing in the back, I kept finishing in the back, and it's like, okay, something's wrong. Is it me? Is it my pedals? Is it my wheel? Is it something else? I don't know. And then last week I figured out that there was something wrong with them, and I got them fixed, and I just hope this is just something to keep me moving forward and hopefully keep repeating finishes like this, because I know I'm not a terrible driver. I know I'm not the best driver, but I can at least pull out a top 3 like this every couple weeks or so.
Oh, we know that you are a top level driver, Chris. We've seen it in multiple different leagues, and moving forward, we've got Auto Club, Texas, Charlotte. What's the confidence level knowing that we're heading towards these bigger treks now before we get to the end of the season where we head to North Wilkesboro?
I think it's good for me. I'm definitely more confident on the 1.5 miles and bigger ovals like Auto Club is more than anything, and I think it should be good. Getting the top 3 here, just starting off the playoffs right is the most important thing, and to start off the playoffs right, I just got to be consistent everywhere else, and I have a chance of winning this thing because there's no winning into the next round. It's just fight to the finish, which I love. So I'm feeling really confident here.
Well, we cannot wait to see how you perform, Chris. Congratulations on a third place finish here tonight, and as well getting that top 5 finish overall. Enjoy this one, and before we let you go, the floor is yours for any other shout outs.
Personally, shout out to you guys in the booth and everyone behind the scenes that does everything. You guys do a great job every week, and there's nothing more to say. You guys just do such a great job. Sam, thank you for the confidence boost pre-race. And shout out to my teammates. Shout out to Ryan Kelly for winning the race. Larry Yingling, Brian McCann, they were both fighting hard all day. And shout out to everyone that runs this league. They do such a great job, such a good organized league, and really glad to be a part of it, and can't wait to see what the rest of the season has in store.
Well, we cannot wait to see how you perform for the rest of the chase, Chris. Enjoy this one, and good luck next week at Auto Club.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
You too, as that will finish out our interviews here tonight. I went around and talked to almost all the drivers that we could that were in the Discord. I was trying to give them all a little bit of motivational talk, and I'm happy that it worked out for the Cody Glencock's racing team. As we take a look at our unofficial results, really that late caution changed everything, gave us a shootout, gave us a chance to see who could shake things up at the end, and ultimately it was Ryan Kelly taking the victory with Jared Talmadge in second. Third was Chris Stitz. Thanks for them joining with us. But the driver I think everyone expected probably should have won this race if that late caution didn't come out. That's Jake Nichols coming away fourth. Then Jan van Leer, he gets his first top 5 finish of the season. Congratulations to him. Ali Fonseca gave it away with a top 10 finish in 6th. John Forbes takes 7th. Zach Hall, Cedric Hunter, where did they come from? They'll take away 8th and 9th. And Brian McCann, again, one of those drivers that if the race had finished out at the end there, could have had a really good finish, but he has to take away a 10th place here tonight.
Fantastic work by those top 10, especially Jan van Leer with that top 5. Huge win for himself. You got Vince Asora back here in 12th. He was running up front all race as well, along with Douglas Newbigging, who I thought had probably one of the better chances to challenge Jake Nichols for the win if the race stayed green. Just couldn't figure out the late race. I think the weather is really what the issue is that changed his way of driving. Gavin Rogers not really able to move forward where he qualified. He had a good race near the middle, but unable to move forward near the end. So, and he had Brian Noel, early spin for himself, took him out of contention as well. So, I mean, an impressive top 10 of drivers this week, especially that of Chris Stitz and Jan van Leer. It was great to see those guys score their top 5s for the season.
Incredible to see. We also want to say thank you to the amazing sponsors. We didn't get through all of them as I should have, but that ending was ridiculous. We had to stick with it. If you're looking for a championship moment or exciting moment to have, go check out trophysmack.com. Go check out their Wall Smack product, as if you go purchase your Wall Smack today from Trophy Smack, you can go get yourself a 10% off discount at trophysmack.com. They've also got plenty of other great rewards, as they've got championship belts, rings, championship trophies, and their Wall Smack product, which is a metal plate gloss image that you can put on your wall with their magnet safe abilities, with their magnet safe system, or you can get a stand for your shelf or desk and go check out. As honestly, if I'm Ryan Kelly, I'm getting a photo of that finish coming to the line, and I'm getting that on a Wall Smack for sure. And remember to use the promo code again, WSSR Smack, for 10% off. We also want to say thank you to Sim Precision Prints. Sim Precision Prints, if you're looking for 3D models for iRacing gear or one-of-a-kind pieces, head on over to simprecisionprints.shop, and remember to use the promo code WSSR at checkout for 10% off on all purchases $50 or more. Also, thank you to the other sponsors that we talked about, GTR Simulators, Lucky Duck Motorsports, and of course, the title sponsor of Season 12, Elwood Designs. Whew, a lot of talking there, a lot of excitement, but Richard, I mean, the chase has started with a bang, and I am now thrilled for Season 12 chase, because that is the way you want to start it out.
Yeah, I mean, when you come into the chase and you expect Jake Nichols to kind of walk away with the race, and it doesn't happen due to a late race caution and the 2-tire strategy by some of those drivers up front, which kind of put Jake Nichols behind the 8 ball. He had to get through some of these drivers, and he had drivers like Ali Fonseca, who was basically playing a huge defensive role, and he couldn't get around him very easy. So, I mean, this was a phenomenal opening race to the chase, and it just makes the rest of the chase races that much more exciting to see what can happen and what other late race drama that could happen.
And again, the next couple of racetracks, Jake Nichols has said, are going to be his best on the service. So if you're going to beat the best, you got to do it at his best. Auto Club Texas, Charlotte, going to be the next 3 on the docket here Wednesday nights on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you so much to everyone. A huge shout out to Rev and Tyler Wren, who were first super donators and chatters that donated $5 each to us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We appreciate it so much, supporting the broadcast. Thank you to everyone that joined with us live here on a Wednesday nights. Spend your Wednesday evening watching these Gen 4 cars rip around the iRacing service. Thank you so much to the racers that showed up. I know it's hard during the chase, but I think this excitement might bring a couple of people back for Auto Club next week. And for tonight, thank you so much for joining us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Richard Wolsifer and Robert Moyer Jr., thank you for joining with us this evening. It was a pleasure to give you the call. One of the closest finishes of the season, 7 1/1000ths of a second. And it goes to the 3 machine of Ryan Kelly beating out the 27 Jarrett Talmadge. Well, that's a great way to start the chase off, but we got 5 more races left to figure out who will be crowned the Season 12 champion. Will Nichols get back on pace? Can someone else try to threaten his stance? We'll have to see next week at Auto Club for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.
I was standing, staying still, never said what I feel, and every time I took the blame, carried all this quiet shame. Cause all the pressure in my chest, I've gotta fight to catch my breath, when every step still feels the same, trying not to break. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting on you. Where do I go from here? There will be no more tears. Kill the doubt, feed the fire, hear the voice inside. It's my turn this time. They took a shot, now I want mine. You fall, I rise, I take the wheel. So this is how it feels. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting on